morning, everybody. Welcome to the ASBA's first session on what works in this new year of 2016. First of the sessions will take place, and we have the privilege to get you fresh and alert and happy to listen to this presentation. This presentation is being brought to you by Happy Junction, a part of Caliber initiatives established in Canada, operating in UAE, India, and other countries. Happy Junction is a corporate social responsibility of Calibers, which looks into counseling and guidance support for the teaching and counseling faculty members of schools in Dubai and the other Emirates of UAE, along with the Middle East countries as well. We are happy to have with us the resource person from Diyafah school, Mrs. Patrick, who will take you through the presentation of the topic. She is the students counselor there and an active member in many of the sessions that have taken place with Waterworks, participating as well as contributing to it. I am David, Assistant Dean from the Indian High School, Dubai. I am glad to have you all listening to Mrs. Patrick, and the topic for her is the art of thinking like a scientist. She is going to emphasize a lot on how special needs students will be supported, but whatever our presentation could be applied across all students of all needs, as well as by teachers and counselors. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wright, and thank you for all your support and guidance. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Are we happy this morning? Sure. Yes. Okay, we hope to remain happy for the next 45 minutes. I thought we should begin this session with what's called the latest super brain yoga, but it's been like an age-old practice in some Asian countries. You would need to stand up for this. This is something that we do with our children with special needs. All the children in our class, we get them started before the day begins with the lessons. It's rather simple. All you need to do is put your right hand out, cross it to your left ear, touch your left ear. Now put your left hand out, cross it to your left ear. I think you might have to step out because otherwise you're going to sit on the chair. It's just sit-ups. So you do that 5 times if you choose to, or we go 10 times. 5 or 10? 5. Okay. 1, 2. You can count with me. 3, 4, 5. How do you think this actually helps? Coordination. And it helps you with your concentration and supply of oxygen to the brain to get the student alert. That's about it. And they actually do this about 10 to 20 times before they actually start the lesson. You could be seated. Are you feeling any better? Yes. Okay. What we're going to be talking about today is you will learn how art enables thinking and deep noticing. We'll also be looking at the creative thinking process. We're also going to be sharing positive practices. Most importantly, we'll be looking at how we can use art to support children with special needs. At the end of this session, our success criteria, if you're going to walk away with something, you would say that I've understood how students with special needs benefit with learning art. You would also say that I'm able to replicate the creative thinking process. And you would have shared and you would take back at least one new thought on using art with children with special needs. How many counselors do we have in this room? Teachers? Is this what you're looking for? Okay, then if that's not what you're looking for, then it's going to be new learning, something that you would be able to take in and apply back in your classes. Art and STEM, the whole theme of what works is STEM changing to STEAM. Now that's it's not a new concept for all of us. It's like the old wine in the new bottle. You're going way back into history, and if you look at Leonardo da Vinci, somebody who's been an artist, who's practiced with invention, scientist, music, he's used his science to give expression to art, he's used his art to give expression to science. So, and you have notable people who've had difficulties and special needs who have also made it big with their creation. So they brought their science and art together and has created wonders. So we are not looking at something new, but what we're going to be looking at is how.
Actually, I need to spell the name wrong. Actually, Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go back and change that. Thank you for letting me know. You tell me what the spelling is, we'll go back and change that.
Leonardo da is correct, but you have to add H in after the C.
I have to add an H after the C? Okay, I'll go back and do that. Thank you. So, as I said, we are going to be looking at the art that we would use with children with special needs. At the same time, something that we've missed out somewhere along the way is the process. The whole process involved in all of these creative thoughts and inventions. So we're going to be focusing on that as well. To begin with, how does art actually enable children with their learning? It gets them thinking, it's more thinking in depth. When you're just looking at something on paper and pencil, it restricts your whole understanding to that, but when you're using art to actually learn, there's more thinking and there's more depth that goes into your thinking. It creates visual expressions, and it creates that, brings in that visual creativity as well. Art helps children manipulate objects, it helps you put things together and take them apart, and when you do that, there's so much more learning that actually takes place. And we see that each one of these competencies and skills are important for scientific thinking. So, having said that, I would like you to just look at this sheet that's given to you. Just pass the sheet around. While that sheet is passed around, let me give you instructions to this activity. I'm going to read out a little passage while you close your eyes. And you will listen to that passage, visualize what I'm reading, and then you would put down on paper that's passed around, it's called sketch to stretch. So you put down on paper whatever you visualized. And since you are sitting in twos, this passage that I'm reading probably has two scenes. So one of you could decide to draw out one scene, sketch one scene, and the other person can decide to sketch the other scene. You got it? I'm going to read out a passage while you close your eyes and listen. And then the two of you decide which scene you're going to sketch. You sketch the scene and then you tell the story to each other. Okay? Ready? So which means to start, all eyes closed. All eyes closed. After. So you're visualizing. Right now, all eyes closed. You're just visualizing whatever I am saying. Are we ready? If you're ready, you will say yo. Okay? Ready? Yo. I can still see some eyes open. There is wind here, said Caleb happily. It blows the snow and brings tumbleweeds and makes the sheep run. Wind and wind and wind. Caleb stood up and ran like the wind, and the sheep ran after him. Sarah and I watched him jump over rock and gullies. The sheep behind him, stiff-legged and fast. He circled the field, the sun making the top of his head gold. I'm going to read it out again. So listen for those of you who missed out. Can you hear me at the back? There is wind here, said Caleb happily. It blows the snow and brings tumbleweeds and makes the sheep run. Wind and wind and wind. Caleb stood up and ran like the wind, and the sheep ran after him. Sarah and I watched him jump over rock and gullies, the sheep behind him, stiff-legged and fast. He circled the field, the sun making the top of his hair golden. Now what you need to do is sketch what you heard. Decide amongst yourselves which scene you would sketch. And for those of you who are better with visualizing on the board, I've got that up. You've got 2 minutes to sketch what you see.
Good morning. As what Ms. Shai said, there is a wind. This is what I draw. There is a wind, and there is a boy in here who ran away. I think a sheep also ran away, and the sun makes the hair of the girl yellow. Okay. This is what the boy saw, that the sun makes him hair yellow. This is my simple drawing.
Fantastic. Can we give my hand again? Thank you. Anybody else who would want to share the other scene? She actually has covered it all, but if anybody else would want to show present your sketch.
Well, my sketch was about the last part, and I just was imagining him in the field, and in the field, because of the sunlight, his hair is all golden. I mean, that's the scene that I was thinking in my head.
Thank you so much, Susan. Can we give Susan a big do you get the whole idea? We've used visual, you've used auditory, you got to see this sketch, and you heard as well, and then you finally put that down on paper. We are looking at sketch to stretch. Art helps your mind to stretch beyond that little paper there and that little print there. And that's what we aspire for all of our children, whether they are with special needs or no special needs. Moving on, how does this multisensory processing help our children with special needs? It helps you kind of think out of the box. Each one of you put your thoughts down so differently. It brings up that unique person in all of their expression that they put down on paper. It helps better comprehension, better learning. If you have to do something with math and you would want to involve poetry with the math, if I'm saying round the digit to the nearest 10, if I've said 59, round it to the nearest 10, what's the answer? 60. That's so easy for you, but for a child who's just learning the concept, or for a child with special needs, that whole processing is difficult. So we could probably teach them even through language arts. So if I'm going to introduce a poetry to this whole thing, I say spot the number, look next door, more than 5, add 1 more, less than 5, just ignore. So we bring in different forms of art. For us, when we're saying art, it's not just about drawing and painting. You're bringing in different forms of art. Art for me would be theatre, drama. It would be designing, using something on the computer. What does art mean to you? What does art mean?
Beautiful creation. Beautiful creation.
Sorry,
So beautiful creation.
A beautiful creation. And that creation could come in any form. So we're using different forms of art to actually get our children to understand. The ultimate goal is to learn and to stretch their understanding and imagination. And children love art. So there's so much you could do with actually getting them to work through art. Art also helps with developing life skills. The traffic signals has a lot of color. When we're working with children with autism, art comes in big, handy. It's really handy. I'm sure some of you who work with children with autism know that we use a lot of pictures. If they need to go to the toilet, you've got a picture. Their whole schedule for the day comes in different pictures. So as the timetable, as they pass each period, they're able to take off that picture. So they know that that period is over. So they're able to visualize what period they have, whether it's math, literacy, and it also tells them as they finish each period, you help them take off that picture from their timetable. So then they know what's coming. Then you would use art with children with ADHD. It works fantastic. You get them to sit down and pay more attention. We've had children who are really hyperactive, running around and so restless. When I've given them a paper to color, they've just sat down. It's so calming and it brings out so much more in them. They are able to multitask at the same time. So when we bring in the process to art as well, it would contribute to more creative thinking. Most importantly, art creates confidence in each one of these students. If you can look at that drawing in the background, who do you see? Are you familiar with this cartoon character? It's Simpson?
Yeah.
Simon's
The
cat?
Bart.
Bart Simpson. Now, he may have spelled him wrong. One of our students, Sachin, thanks to both the parents who allowed me to display their work. He may have spelled it wrong, but he's got the picture correct. So it helps them express. Now, are we able to accept their form of expression and it helps us understand that they understand, or we want them to only write what they understand? We allow them to express what they write and they feel so good. See what he's written. He said, I told you I can draw well. Now tell okay. So he's already feeling so confident about what he drew there. The other child there participated in the science exhibition. You don't usually see that expression on his face. He's somebody who's very quiet and to himself, but then this really brought him out as we involved him with the science exhibition and his own creation and explaining the whole thing. And that's what art can do to each one of our children as they own what they do. It creates that confidence in them. Again, eventually helping them in being inventors. Our children with special needs have that extra spark of already thinking out of the box. So when you add to this, it makes a big difference. Art again helps with deep noticing. When you actually sketched and drawn, it gave you more detail. You added more detail to that whole drawing. You add more detail to what you do. It helps children notice the difference, focus on what's there, what's not there. Now when we teach the B and D, how many of you have children who have a problem with their reversals with the B and D? One of you. How do you actually teach them to write the B and D?
Usually I use a lot of crayons, sand, so try to be as multi-sensory as possible.
So you use a lot of sand and crayon to create
a big, bigger, larger than life, give them a huge picture and make them draw. It's not a difficult.
So if you're using a lot of hands-on and exercises, what would you have use? You use the B and the D. Something else that I use is, first comes the bat. B for bat. So first comes the bat and then the ball. So they draw, they visualize. Sometimes we put the bat there and put the ball, and then I say first comes the bat and then the ball, because B stands for bat. Now the D for dog, D for drum. So I say first comes the drums and then the stick. Or first comes the dog and then its tail. So I've given some words to it, I've visualized it, and it just helps me remember it better. So with art, it also contributes to deep noticing, adds more detail, sustains attention. Another important thing that art does for us is it helps them to spot those minute differences, which is very much required for a scientist. Another important thing that's required for scientists and architects and your children with dyslexia, your children with ADHD have opportunities and they've got that extra skill. They can go out there to become that scientist, that architect, that engineer. They are high functioning. It's just about giving them those right skills. And spatial skills is a very, very important skill that's required, and art brings in that spatial skills. In the way they, if they're doing a math work, actually everything in science, your geography, everything has pictures and art. As I said, it's not something new, but somewhere down the way we forgot to use it enough. And we're so focused on completing the task that somewhere down the way we probably don't put in enough of those resources in teaching. It helps them also simplify more complex concepts, like we looked at the BME or more so the 59, the number. If you are looking at math and if you're talking about angles, anything that they can see around gives them an expression of angles. What can you see that gives you a 90-degree angle around this room? The corners. What about an acute angle? He's sitting right there in an acute angle. Please, look at this. He's got his knees, his arms, he's got his bent knees, so he's actually sitting there in a acute angle. So everything around you can be used for them to actually understand the concept of angles. Our carpets are in right angles. I think we have a lot of right angles around this room. Obtuse, I just made one. So we're using our body as well as a form of expression with art. They help put things together, take it apart. Actually, parents are very upset when children dismantle the cars. They're like spoiling toys, but actually it's that curious, creative child in you that's helping you do that. You must encourage them to do that with some direction and supervision, of course. But it helps put things together apart. Even if you're learning the human anatomy, when you are putting them apart and taking them apart or putting it together, it helps you understand what fits, what goes where. You'll agree with whatever I'm saying so far?
Yeah.
Is this new learning? It's new reinforcement of learning. You've heard this, you've done this, you've practiced this. It's just a big reminder for you to continue to do it. We move forward with looking at the process that we want our children to take when wanting to create something new. Bringing in the scientist in you. When we've said scientist, we've talked about the creative thinker. We're talking about the innovator. So, and for that, an important part is the whole process that's involved in learning to be that. If you could turn your sheets that's given to you, and if you, one person in the group can have one. If somebody does not have one, you could share it, you could pass it on. Okay, what you need to do is, I've made it rather simple because of not enough time. Otherwise, we would have wanted you to actually label each one of those. Now I've mixed it up. You need to put those numbers in the right order. Rearrange the steps that's given. It's about creating a cell phone. I've kept that simple. It's about creating a cell phone, and there are steps in the whole innovation process. Now I have mixed up the steps. What you need to do is rearrange the steps so that you can tell me what comes first. Step 1, step 2, step 3. The focus is in getting children to understand the process involved in the innovation. As much as innovation and creativity happens by accident, there is also a process involved. You get just 1 minute to do that. You're already done, I'm sure. I've made it rather simple, giving you the headings. Maybe it should have been a little more challenging without the headings. What's your first step? Identify the problem. How many of you got something else as a first step? How many of you have identified the problem as a first step? What about the others?
Research and gather.
Not done?
Research and gather.
Research and gathering. The first step is identify the problem. The second one is research and gathering. The third is generate multiple solutions. The fourth, create prototype. And fifth, redesign the prototype. Rather simple, but do we take our children through that? Who invented the telephone? Alexander Graham Bell. Fill in the blanks. Who invented the telephone? Which year? And that's about it. Do we actually teach children as to how that whole telephone came into being? Somewhere down the line, as I said, we missed out on the process. If inventions like the penicillin or anesthesia, or even as I was talking to Mr. Wright, he was telling me about, gave me this example of the door. And you have somebody standing and opening the door for you? Is somebody actually standing and opening and closing the door for you?
Where?
Yes, in some places, but in most places, what have they replaced it with? Automatic doors. So at some point, somewhere, there was a problem of having a man stand there, open and close. Now you can go through that whole process and understand the process. Unfortunately, in schools today, the challenge remains that they are stuck with having to finish things within the time bound. But if you actually give that little time to go through the process, what you are creating for your child is a roadmap of thinking. It gets them to slow down their thought process. Okay, I'm going to look at, actually, why did this happen? How did this go? I've not just added 1 plus 1 is 2 and that's about it. It kind of slows down the whole process of thought process. And sometimes it's important to stop and think. We are in so much of a hurry. It gets children into the habit of trial and error. It's okay to fail, but I can try and I can still make something new of it. So going through the process, in the beginning, you may just be creating what exists, but you instill in the mind of that child something for life, where they just may go out and create something new. With computer graphics and modern scientists coming together, we've got the computer and the art. You're looking at getting your children with special needs to different career choices. With their whole thought process, you have somebody working behind the kitchen as a chef. You've got schools with art adding to their creation, their paintings. There's so much that they do with their art. Adding to the process just adds to their creativity, and inventions extends and goes beyond what we can even imagine. As I said, schools are so stuck on finishing on time. I have 40 minutes, I have to finish this. Like now I'm in the pressure of finishing my session in another 5 minutes I have. So it's about, it's so time bound. So we are more interested in the end than in the process. So we somewhere miss out in even stopping to pat that child's back and say, hey, well done, you came this far. No, you don't have to as your answer, so go back. It's something that I would want each one of you to go back and think about, even when you're making your lesson plans, think about where you've put in that art, where you brought in that multisensory thinking, where you've got your child thinking. Now that's something that you all have heard all the time as teachers. Creative thinking, critical thinking, thoughts, questions, PhD wants them all. But when I'm looking at the ultimate outcome to that, it's way beyond just a task of making your lesson plan. It's about extending it way beyond that. With this, I'm just going to share a couple of things that our school does, and it would be a time of sharing for you if you could share something that you have used, how you've used art and it's worked well with your children. Something that has worked fantastic with one of our children with dyslexia. Till year grade 7, his self-esteem was really, really low. Something that we make sure all our IEPs have. It's like a standard statement in my IEP at the end says to develop the self-confidence of the child. So now how do I develop that? Give him expression, give him the freedom to express himself the way he does, whether it's art, music, dance, poetry, theatre. So we make sure our IEP always have that. That's like a default on that paper. To continue to develop the child's self-confidence and self-esteem. And we allowed him to pursue drums. He played for the school concert. He has just blossomed. He's so confident. He would go into class. He does not want help. He's working on his own. He stopped coming out for his papers to be read out. most of his work is done in class. It's kind of boosted his confidence and transferred into his interest for learning. I've done the B&D. That's a picture of our students working on making banana split. So we took them through the process. The instructional text gave them a list of things, but something that we missed out there when I think back is about telling them how did this banana split actually come into being? Who thought of banana split? So that part of the exercise maybe we would do sometime, but it's all about doing whatever works. I won't say what works, I will say whatever works, do, because each one of our children are unique. The B&D, the way I showed it to you, may have worked for one child, but the way you did the thumbs would work for another child. So ultimately, whatever works, do. So what has worked for you? Would somebody like to share what has worked for you in using art or any other multisensory way of teaching?
We had a child in grade 9 he is dyslexic. So this child really lacked confidence, so we changed one of his subjects to painting. And now slowly he has, the art teacher has really worked on him and developed his confidence. It's so profound that even his academics have improved. To the point that we don't need to go to the classroom to read out. Now he's taking the initiative to do his academics on his own. So that is one very evident example and we are really about it.
Would you agree with what she's saying? Have you tried it? How many of you are teachers teaching children, have children with special needs in your class? So you've definitely tried a lot of things that worked. Would you like to share something?
So one of the things I've done recently was we were studying specialised cells. So I rated the art supplies cupboard and we built lots of different models of specialised cells using whatever the kids wanted to build them up, and then we could all go around it to touch and see all the different parts of each cell.
Fantastic. So you've made a model and then you've got them to actually touch, feel, used all of their multisensory processing to work through it. We are short of time. What I would like you to do is probably put down what worked for you on this paper that's given to you. It says counselor name and counselor email ID.
Yeah, we did it.
Okay. Or if you want to put that up on the board, right, you could still do that. I'm just moving on some quick facilitation tips, something that I've already taken you through. Just to sum up, the emphasis on the process, create a classroom environment that allows children to explore is your keyword there. Adapt to children's ideas and don't structure their thinking. Let that thinking be free flowing. Be open to unusual ideas. That's where you're creating that scientist, you're bringing out that creative person in the child. Apply creative problem solving in all parts of your curriculum. If your curriculum does not support it, it's time that you go back and want to work on changing that curriculum. Give children time to explore all possibilities. We are time bound, but at least if we can go back home, encourage parents to participate and be involved in this whole process as well. Allow them to make mistakes and learn from failures. Use a lot of visual representation. These are some examples that somebody talked about the sand tray. Then we did sketch to stretch, we drew. You use your drawing to comprehend. And another thing that would be new here is you could use the camera or the camcorder to get them to record. Now, we don't practice that yet, but then that could be one thing that you get them to record and then make a story out of that. So that would help as well. Have students create imaginative pictures for their vocabulary. If I've learned the word hat, it would help me to draw the hat to remember that. With that, we come to the end of today's session, but I just want to go through the success criteria, and before that, again once more say, whatever works, do, and don't forget the process. We skip this activity. We're going to do the yo, so, no. Yo means you're saying yes, so means so, and no means your thumbs go down. Okay? I understand how students with special needs will benefit from learning through various mediums of art. Yo, so, or no. Louder? Louder? Okay, are you able to replicate the creative thinking process? Yo, so, no. Yo. How many so? So. How many no? So. Okay, and the last one. I have shared. We would like you to put down, or I'm taking back at least one new idea on using art to teach children with special needs. Yo. So, no. Yo. No. Yo. So can we give that one big loud yo? And have a good day and thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. I would like to take half a second or a little more than a second to fill up the feedback form that on your table. Leave it on your table. On behalf of Happy Junction, we would like to thank Shalini for this presentation, and we will now invite Razan from the James Westminster School to honor, present certificate and a gift from KSBA. Round of applause for Shalini.